every MLB postseason, there are always big storylines that go through the baseball world, whether it's a player coming up in the clutch, a player struggling, or a player's pending free agency. All those things can be big storylines during the MLB postseason. And there could be even bigger storylines this year, considering what could happen in this year's postseason. So let's get straight into it. There are 4 division series going on right now. We're going to cover one big storyline to look out for the rest of the postseason for each division series. So what I've done is I've picked one team from each division series to represent a storyline from that division series, and we'll roll from there, cover the storyline. Well, first off, pick it out, explain it, cover the storyline, and then what could it mean to the overall postseason as a whole, whether that player's team wins it or loses it. We'll be covering players exclusively. If we want us to do team storylines, we'll get into that. We can do that next week. Just comment and see if you want to comment and let us know if you want to see that. But let's get straight into it. My name is Derek. You're watching Bleacher Brawls, and let's get straight into it. So let's just start, right away. Bleacher Brawls, Red Sox and Yankees. So let's go with the New York Yankees in this Yankees and Guardians series. There's one storyline that I think stands out. Might be the big storyline in baseball, and that's Aaron Judge. Just Aaron Judge. You don't have to say anything else. Just Aaron Judge. I mean, he hit 62 homers this year. Came close to a triple crown. I mean, probably he's going to win the MVP. I mean, I don't know what else you can really say about him. But can he increase his value that last little bit before free agency? Obviously, he's going to get a boatload of money. However, if he can get hot during this postseason run and carry this Yankees team, that price tag for Aaron Judge is only going to go up. However, if he struggles in the postseason, there might be a couple question marks of, can he do it when the lights are the brightest? Can he do it when the lights are the brightest? So far in Aaron Judge's postseason career, he's hitting .225 with an .830 OPS. Not great. He does have 11 homers in 36 games, but it's not like anything crazy to go off of. Obviously, we're talking about Aaron Judge. The guy just hit 62 home runs, led the league in RBIs, and almost won the batting title. Like that's who we're talking about. And can he step up? Almost put this Yankee team on his back. They're gonna have some good pitching performances and whatever, but there's going to be a couple games throughout this postseason if they want to win a World Series where they're going to need Aaron Judge to put the team on his back and go and carry that team to a win. And we've seen it with someone that we'll get into later in this video, but can Aaron Judge do that? Can he get the clutch hit? Can he in the postseason? Can he make that play in the outfield when it's needed and you got to go full layout for it? Can he do that? Obviously, we know he's a great player and all, and arguably the best player in baseball this year, or probably the best player in baseball this year. But there's, can he do it when the lights are the brightest? He's had a couple good series, obviously, but, can he do it? Can he get the Yankees past Cleveland, help them get past Cleveland? Can he get them over Houston? They've struggled to get past Houston this year. Can they do that? And then they got to get to the World Series. Now you either got to play the Dodgers, who won 111 games, I think it was. You got to play the Braves, who won 101. The Padres, who look very good, or the Phillies, who are kind of the sleeper team. And you don't know what you're going to get from them fully because they didn't go off and win 100 games during the regular season. But they are in the division series, so those are that's a team you can't write off. However, Aaron Judge, what he does this postseason, shouldn't affect his value too much. I mean, he's already going to get a ridiculous amount of money. But if he goes out and leads his Yankee team to a World Series, there's only a bigger incentive for the Yankees to pay him more. And if he goes on top of that and puts in a miraculous postseason effort similar to his regular season, if you're the Yankees, now it puts all the pressure on the Yankees of, hey, you have to sign him, and there will be bidders for Aaron Judge this offseason. Don't get that wrong. There will 110% be bidders for Aaron Judge, and the Yankees got to put in an offer that is good enough because he's not just going to take some big hometown discount to stay. They're still going to have to pay him. And this postseason could just drive up that price even more from where it is, because it's already going to be a massive number. And Aaron Judge is the biggest piece on the Yankees, and he needs to step up and play well when the moments are the biggest for the Yankees to potentially win the World Series. But that's the first storyline. Moving on to the second one now. We're going to stick in the American League, and then we'll move on to the National League. So we're going to move on to the other American League series, the Astros and the Mariners. I feel like this one's kind of easy to go to. Yordan Alvarez. We did a video on him back in June. I think it was June, or maybe it was the beginning of July, whatever. Look in the top right. I think over here. I think maybe it's over there. I don't know. Right, left, whatever. I don't remember. But we'll have that link up there for you, so you can go and check that out. That video if you want, that we put up way back then on Yordan Alvarez. But we questioned, like, is he going to be the next Big Papi? Well, it looks pretty much like he is the closest thing we have to David Ortiz right now, and it's not even close. Yordan Alvarez has just been amazing. And you look at his postseason numbers, like, they're ridiculous this year. Every Red Sox fan like myself saw what he did against the Red Sox last year in the ALCS. He hit .522 with a 1408 OPS. Like Red Sox fans like myself have seen what he can do to your team in the postseason, and just put that Astros offense on his back and say, let's go. Get on my back. We're winning. And he seems to be doing it again against the Seattle Mariners. I feel bad for the Mariners. I want the Mariners to win, but if Yordan Alvarez is doing this, I don't know what's going to stop him, what pitching staff can stop him. I don't see it happening, right? And you look at Yordan Alvarez this year, obviously, did have, I'm pretty sure he had a couple injuries, like minor injuries or whatever, but he still hit .306 with .406 on base, a .613 slugging, OPS over 1,000, 37 homers, 97 RBIs, but he was on like a stupid pace in the first half of the season. Like, he was still on pace to hit like 50 homers at one point, I think it was. Obviously, he cooled down a little bit. I think he did have a minor injury at some point. But the even more interesting thing, bigger interesting thing this year is Yordan Alvarez is playing a lot more left field with Michael Brantley being injured and whatever. Playing Yordan Alvarez a lot more in left field, and he hasn't been bad at all. Like, he has not been bad in the outfield. For someone who, they don't want to put in the outfield because of defense, I mean, he's got 5 defensive runs saved this year. He has not been bad in the outfield. But I think the biggest storyline, though, obviously, is going to be his bat. The walk-off home run in Game 1 against the Mariners. That big home run to put the Astros up on the Mariners in Game 2. And Yordan also had an RBI, I think an RBI, 2 RBI double in Game 1 as well. Like, Yordan is just, like, it's not even like a question. He's the closest thing we've had since David Ortiz, since he retired. It's the closest thing we're seeing. There's a hot streak. The hot streaks that he's gotten on in the postseason the last 2 years have been outrageous, Big Papi-esque. It's ridiculous. And I also want to bring this up because Yordan Alvarez is crucial to the Astros' success in the postseason, right? So there's a stat called win probability added for an offensive player, right? Which is what Yordan Alvarez is, an offensive player. You look at his postseason, and every series that he has had a negative win probability added, the Astros, they, at least recently, so 2021, they lost. He's only had one series, 2021. 2019, he had, was actually the opposite way around. But in 2021, besides not his rookie year, had a negative win probability added in the World Series, they lost. However, in the ALDS, he had a 11-16 OPS, a 0.25 win probability added. The Astros won that series against the White Sox in 4 games. Last year against the Red Sox in the ALCS had a 0.55 win probability added. The reason I'm reading the specific numbers off is you're gonna see the point. We had a 1408 OPS. So far in the ALDS, in 2 games, he's hitting 500 with a 556 on base and a 1375 slugging for a 1931 OPS. 9 plate appearances, 8 at bats. He has 4 hits, 2 of them home runs, and he's got 7 RBIs. In 2 games, Yordan Alvarez's win probability added is 1.37. He has added 1.37 win probabilities to the Astros. He essentially added 1.37 wins to the Astros. He's essentially the reason why the Astros have won these 2 games. And he's, he's been ridiculous, right? And if he does this for the whole entire postseason, those David Ortiz comparisons are really going to start. Like, they are really going to go and get going, and even more, especially if the Astros go all the way this year and win it. Jordan's going to be probably the biggest piece offensively. Whether he DHs or plays that field, everyone still sees him as a DH. But he's literally the closest thing we have to Big Papi right now. And as a neutral fan, it's amazing to watch. As someone who, like, most baseball fans don't like the Astros, it's kind of annoying because it's like, oh, we just got to be on the Astros, you know? But what can you do? No, if the Astros are bad, no one would care that they cheated, but it's because they're good. That's the only reason everyone cares. It's because they're good. If you're bad and you cheat, no one cares about you. But if you're good, everyone takes exception to it. And no one likes you. That's the Astros for you. So, and Jordan Alvarez wasn't even a part of that. But, and also, too, great for Jordan Alvarez, his family at the games. First time his family's got to see him play in the big leagues. Great moment probably for the Alvarez family, I'm guessing. Probably is. Great moment for Jordan Alvarez getting to have his family in attendance, too. I did want to bring that up as well. Next up, I want to move on to the National League side of things, the NLDS. We're going to start with the Braves and Phillies, and in specific, let's talk about Spencer Strider. Obviously, end of the season injured. He seems healthy enough to pitch. Seems it. Hopefully he is. But the big question is, how is he going to fit in to the Braves rotation right now? How much can he pitch? If he can pitch, how well can he pitch? Those are big questions to ask. But he was stellar this year. I mean, 131.2 innings pitched, 31 appearances, 20 of those starts, a 2.67 ERA, a 183 FIP. Like, ridiculous numbers. He had 13.8 strikeouts per 9 innings. The guy was just, like, off the charts, like, stellar was Spencer Strider. But he's a guy who doesn't have any postseason experience, right? And that's a big question mark. How is he going to perform in the postseason? And especially since it's his first postseason, not only can he perform because he is injured, what is it going to look like? How long can he pitch? Can he go the 5 innings that they might want him to go? He might only be able to go 2 or 3 innings. Like that I think those are big questions, right? For a guy like Spencer Strider. Where does it fit in? Where does he kind of fit into this Braves equation? And I know the Braves are talking about potentially using him in Game 3, but if he can only pitch 2 innings, do they piggyback him? Do they want to save him, and use him in the actual bullpen? How do they envision using him? That's a big question because he was arguably their best starter this season when he was starting. And, just ridiculous numbers that he had this year. I think he should win Rookie of the Year. And you look at his minuscule numbers for a guy who, people look at the Braves and going into this year and they weren't really thinking about Spencer Strider. Now that's fair because the Braves have a stupid amount of talent, but Strider's proven he might be their best starter that they have when he's on. And he had a 4.9 F WAR this year. His B WAR, I'm pretty sure was 2.6. Sorry, no, it was 3.7. Jeez, I was way off. But the guy's just a great year. The big thing with him though, a 40.3% ground ball rate, I think is huge. And also too, when you look at his walk rate, where it's okay, I just lost his walk. Okay, there it is. A 3.08 walks per 9, which doesn't sound crazy, but 8.5% of the time is when he's walking guys. That's about league average. So he's not just the 3.08 walks per 9 doesn't sound great, but he's walking guys, around league average. But the K rate is stupid. 38.3% strikeout rate. His strikeout to walk rate is 29.7%, or 4.49 strikeouts per walk. Just ridiculous. Just absolutely ridiculous. There's only so much you can talk about Spencer Strider because I don't want to just go too deep into this. But, he's going to play a big piece in the Braves potentially being able to, repeat as champions. If the Braves can repeat, Spencer Strider will play a big part in it. The only thing is, how's that part going to look just because of the injury and the potential concern that there is from the Braves. And obviously, they don't want him to get injured any more than he potentially is. So there, you do run the risk with that. But hopefully for baseball fans, you'll get to see him all healthy and able to play. Hopefully. But that's going to wrap up that series. And now let's move on to our last storyline, potential big storyline. And this one's going to involve the player that everyone loves to hate. Everyone's least favorite player. Not mine, but if you took a consensus of MLB fans and you had to ask the player that they hated the most, guarantee this name would come up more than most. And that name is Manny Machado. He is obviously has already had some big moments so far in the postseason. So far, he's already had some big moments. He had the home run in Game 1 of the NLCS, which, just kind of put the nail in the coffin for the Padres in that series. He hit 231 that series. So far in the Dodgers series, he's hitting 333 in 9 at-bats, 3 hits. He's had the home run in Game 2, and he also had an RBI double. He's just been solid for the Padres. And, the thing with Manny Machado here and with the Padres is, they haven't really, since he's been there, they haven't been in the postseason, right? And they haven't been in the postseason. I don't think they haven't had a home postseason game since 2016. And besides, 2020, they were in the postseason, but it was the whole, bubble thing, weird wild card round of 16 teams. It's the first legit postseason that they're in, right? And for this team to be, you look at the team, look at all the talent team, look at Juan Soto, and Tatis obviously got suspended, but the pitching, they have Yu Darvish and Blake Snell and Joe Musgrove and Josh Hader in the bullpen, and they have Juan Soto on the offense side and Josh Bell, and Trent Grisham's been very good in the playoffs, and Brandon Drury they brought in, and so many names. You go up and down the whole team. But if you could say this Padres team's anyone's team, this Padres team is Manny Machado's team. This is Manny Machado's team. I truly believe Manny Machado is a future first ballot Hall of Famer. Did a video on that a couple months ago. But I do truly believe he's a future first ballot Hall of Famer. Through his age 29 season, which was this season, he matches up almost exactly with Adrian Beltre. And I know we all know Beltre turned it on in his 30s, but I think Beltre should be a first ballot Hall of Famer. I mean, I don't think he's going to be 100% of the vote Hall of Famer Beltre, but I think he should be first ballot. I don't think there should be a question on whether or not Adrian Beltre is a Hall of Famer. I feel the same way about Manny Machado. And if Machado goes on and wins a World Series, especially if it's a year like this year where it's supposed to be Tatis's team, right? And Tatis has the motorcycle incident, and then he's out, and then supposedly had, according to his reasoning, had ringworm and popped for PEDs, and so it was his reasoning to treat the ringworm, which we don't really know how legit that reasoning is. I'm not going to get into that, but this team's truly Manny Machado's team. He has turned into a leader in San Diego, and we've seen him grow. He's only 30. He just turned 30 in July. People don't realize how young he is. He just turned 30 in July. He's still going to play for another 6 to 8 years, maybe, if not more. Manny Machado could have himself a career by the time it's said and done. And if he wins the World Series, especially in a year like this, where it's supposed to be Tatis's team, and Machado has been the leader, and this is truly Manny Machado's team. It's not Juan Soto's team. It's not Fernando Tatis Jr.'s team. This is Manny Machado's team. And if he can lead this team to a World Series, that's only going to be a massive feather in his cap for when he reaches Hall of Fame voting. And I think he will be a first ballot Hall of Famer. I know he's rubbed some people the wrong way, but he still has a long career to go, and I think he'll start turning people in his favor the further in his career we go. Remember, when he was called up, he was 19 years old. Well, in his age 19 season, he might have already turned 20. He'd already turned 20 by the time his debut, but he was a young kid when he got called up. Sometimes young kids, they haven't fully developed their kind of personalities, or sometimes a little bit immature and whatever. And, we saw some of that from Machado, right? But he was a young kid. He was very young getting called up, and he played a lot in the bigs, and he was very good. Like his second season, his age 20 season, he finished ninth in MVP voting. And, then he didn't play all of 2014, had a couple injuries. Then his next full season in 2015 comes fourth in MVP voting. And then in 2016 comes fifth in MVP voting. Like, this is a kid who had a lot on his plate very early and lived up to it. Then the Baltimore teams kind of faded off. He got traded to the Dodgers and signed with the Padres on that massive 10-year, $300 million deal. And 2020 finishes third in MVP voting in the shortened season. Last year is 18th in MVP voting, but I do think some of that too was also the Padres were good. I think he's going to finish top 3 in MVP voting again this year, or at the very least top 5. And the Padres win the World Series this year. He's going to be arguably the biggest part of it, but definitely a massive part of it. But from a team standpoint, he will play the biggest role as the team leader. And it truly is his team in San Diego. And I think that team will run through a brick wall for Manny Machado if they need to. I think that this is the team that fits Machado, fits the maturity that he's gotten over his, 10 years in the big leagues. And he is in a spot now where he is truly ready to lead a team to the World Series. And this Padres team has more than enough talent. It's going to be a rough road for them. Do not get me wrong. I'm not saying this like the Dodgers are going to roll over for them. But I'm saying if the Padres do go on a run and make it to the World Series and win a World Series, it's only going to make Manny Machado's case for the Hall of Fame that much better and that much harder to deny, regardless of how much you dislike him. Manny Machado has a legitimate chance to become a first ballot Hall of Famer. I think he will be a first ballot Hall of Famer. I think he will be a lock for the first ballot Hall of Fame by the time he retires. That's how good I think Manny Machado is. I think people sleep on him because he was with the Orioles and whatever. People just think of the Orioles as bad, just perpetually bad. And I think Manny Machado's truly matured since his Orioles time. I think he's really in that perfect place in his career where his mind is in the right spot as well as his body, as well as being with the right team. And I think there's only room for him to even get better. Do not be surprised if Manny Machado wins an MVP in the next couple of years. Don't be surprised. Don't even be surprised if he wins it this year, because if Arenado and Goldschmidt split the vote, you never know if Machado could sneak through and win an MVP this year. You never know. But don't be surprised if Machado wins one in the next couple of years. Do not be surprised if Manny Machado wins an MVP. And it would be something if he did. Because he truly is one of the best players in baseball. A lot of people, for whatever reason, don't think of him like that, but he might be the best third baseman in baseball. He's definitely entrenched in that debate for best third baseman in baseball. And he's arguably a top 10 position player in baseball as well. But I think that's a great place to end this, though. Let me know your thoughts in the comments on all these storylines. On Judge, on Yordan Alvarez, on Spencer Strider, and on Manny Machado. I know Machado's a, hot topic a little bit for some people, but, you have to give it on. All 4 of these guys are going to play massive roles for their teams if they make a World Series run. And obviously there are 4 other teams as well that have guys that are going to play big roles. But I thought these are the 4 most noteworthy guys to take a look at, considering where their teams are and what they might have to go through. And I felt like just picking someone from the Dodgers was a little bit repetitive because, when people look for storylines, they're just going to look straight to the best team in the league and everyone's going to say that's the Dodgers. So I figured I'd shift it a little bit away and go with Manny Machado and Padres. Make sure to check out all the links in the description, the Bleacher Brawls website, podcast, Instagram, and Twitter, plus all the crew's Twitters. Make sure to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, all that good stuff. For Bleacher Brawls, I'm Derek. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.